few weeks ahead to really share with the American people the motivations.
This is the outside, as you see Vice President Harris and the second gentleman walking away to their car, and then there will be a goodbye ceremony for President Biden and former First Lady Jill Biden as they get on Marine One. Britt, it is a transfer of power. It is, President Trump today called January 20th, 2025 Liberation Day. And this is the handoff. This is the send-off of a president. Looking back, how do you think Biden will be remembered in the history books?
Well, I think it'll be hard for people to forget certain things. They'll have a hard time forgetting the price inflation that occurred and was so effective and so affected everyone in the country, rich and poor alike. And I think they'll also remember the controversies. They'll remember the border. They may also have a memory in the fullness of time of alliances that he tried to strengthen, and I think particularly in Asia did. I think they'll kind of remember the nice guy side of Joe Biden that was occasionally on display. I think people will have a hard time forgetting all these pardons because I think, that many done the way they were done, particularly these ones today, do, as Karl Rove suggested, leave a bad taste, and I think it'll be a long time, if ever, before people lose that bad taste in their mouth from those particular acts.
We're watching a significant moment right now as President Biden and Jill Biden, the former president and first lady now, walk with the new president, the 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump, and his wife, Melania. It is striking. You wonder if President Biden said to President Trump in the car on the way over, by the way, I'm going to pardon my entire family on the way out the door. He said that it was all about motivated solely by a desire to hurt me, the worst kind of partisan politics. And it just, sort of smacks of the irony when you think about what the former president and now current president went through as we see hugs here as they get ready to board Marine One.
Let's just listen in here. This is
Brett.
No longer Marine One. It's a special air mission, and they are leaving and will leave the Capitol front. There you see the 47th president, only non-consecutive term since Grover Cleveland in 1892, and the first millennial vice president, J.D. Vance. There was that moment that people have remarked, Dana, on social media about the swearing in, where it seemed like Justice Roberts kind of went a little bit fast, and the family wasn't really right there. So the Bible didn't get right there.
Right.
And as he was sworn in, he did raise his right hand, which is required under the Constitution, to take the oath, but did not have his hand on the Bible, and it was caught all on social media.
Sure. I think one of the things that we started off with is these speeches by Senator Amy Klobuchar and Deb Fischer. And Amy Klobuchar, in particular, went on for quite some time talking about the extensive planning they had done over this past year. Well, one of the most important things you can do is make sure that the incoming first family is in position in order to capture the most important moment that we've all been leading up to. and something happened where they rushed it a little bit. That doesn't mean that there's a problem. I don't think it was intentional.
Well, there is no problem. The Constitution
there's not
is
a problem.
clear.
Right.
It's
Just,
all good.
yeah, to be clear, there's no problem.
Other
and I do not
presidents
think
have
it was
not put their hand on a Bible in that same moment. And I think that was clear. The intention was for him to do that because Melania was holding it the whole time.
And she comes forward, and you could see, even as he's repeating the words from the Chief Justice and the oath of office, the family is filling in behind in the camera shot. So that was a little rush. But also, as Trump and Vance leave, now they're ready to go, right? We have executive orders to sign. We have people to go and see. They're throwing a lot of parties tonight. But I also was thinking about all the staffers. I remember this moment when President Bush left in 2009, and for a staffer, when you're saying goodbye, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss it so much. I loved my opportunity working for all these people. But you think about all the new staffers that are coming in and how excited they are, full of energy and ready to go.
Harris, you know, you reflected back to that preacher who was really powerful, hearkening to Martin Luther King Jr. This is MLK Day. It happens to be Inauguration Day as we watch the Bidens leave. But that was a powerful moment.
So Pastor Lorenzo Sewell was talking about the importance of this day without actually saying it, but it was there. You know, I want to mention something else. The later stages of Biden leaving, to me, I believe, were really overshadowed by three things. Absenteeism. Like you rarely saw him doing those presidential things until there was something about the hostages to possibly announce, and we are more than grateful to God for that. But he was absent. And the moments that he sort of re-engaged, he was noticeably stumbling again. And, I mean, it was a lot. Also, bitterness. I mean, it probably is not him because we know the machinations and how it works behind the scenes. He possibly can't be making every single decision every single moment. So the people that he allowed to represent him on his team acted out of bitterness. They had to help carry out pardons and get those pieces of paperwork ready. And the last 15 minutes, as Martha pointed out, and I think you're right, Martha, had to be coordinated for, and you know what? We can all see that from where we're sitting here. That special mission on formerly known as Marine One and will be again when Trump boards it. But absenteeism, bitterness, and the garbled moment where Biden said that Trump supporters were garbage. I mean, it was a lot, those latent stages. This is a new page that's turned.